Today, we're building a Windows ME sleeper PC. So yeah, we're going to be building a Windows ME sleeper PC. Might be asking why? Well, it's mostly just to play old games. You might be saying, you have the 98 machine for that. And I say, yes, I do. But me and some friends we did one, which didn't work out very well, but we're gonna do more of Windows 98 LAN parties, which technically we can no longer call that because we're using Windows ME, so now it'll have to be the Windows 9X LAN party. So, I mean, yeah. So we're building it with all these parts. The sleeper part of it comes from this old HP Pavilion case. This originally had a Pentium 3 in it. In fact, it actually still does, but it broke. It's broken. It does not work. It just powers up and it does absolutely nothing. So, yeah. But this actually did have Windows ME installed on it originally. The sticker's actually right down here. Yeah. So we're going to be building putting that in there, putting all the stuff into there. This actually is ATX compatible somehow. I don't really know how, but somehow it is. And I'm taking advantage of that because it'd be kind of cool to have a Windows ME sleeper PC. Now, if Windows ME ends up being, well, Windows ME, we may have to go to Windows 98 SE, which I kind of don't want to because, man, like, ME, it's not that bad. It's just the drivers sucked. Just manufacturers didn't make drivers for a long time. And they were like, you could just use the Windows 98 drivers, except you can't because that's what causes it to blue screen all the time. Essentially. ME itself, well, actually, any 9X kernel is actually not very stable. If you actually use 98 and compare it to ME, you're like, wow, this crashes about the same amount. So, yeah. So the whole point of ME being like a terrible operating system, no, just blame the 9X kernel. Don't blame ME itself, because the 9X kernel in general is just not very stable. So how about we go over some of the parts we have here on the table. I already talked about the case. So this is our motherboard. This is a socket A, or socket 462, however you want to call it. This is a surprisingly thin ATX board. It probably doesn't really show up that well on the camera, but in person you're like, wow, that is really skinny for a ATX board. But yeah, I don't actually know who made this. It's been so long since I turned it on, and I can't identify any of the markings on here. It has a VIA chipset, and that's about all I know. It's got this cool orange kind of design going on. And as for the CPU that's under this stock AMD heatsink, it is, I believe, a 930 megahertz AMD Duron, which is pretty low end for the socket A. But this is okay when you consider the other hardware I'm going to be putting into this. You'll be like, okay, that's kind of to be expected. But yeah, 930 megahertz, and on this board has AGP, has 5 PCI, and then this weird thing, which I think is for like a modem card thing. I don't really understand it that well. As for RAM, we're going to be using the RAM that that motherboard came with, which is this Super Talent, which, hey look, it even uses the Westminster font like my logo. Two 256 megabyte sticks of DDR333 for a total of 512 megahertz. Megabytes, not megahertz. I know computers, right, guys? Right. As for our graphics card, in here, have this in the anesthetic bag because it's by far the most valuable component on the table. We have a Hercules. It's made by Hercules, but that's just the board manufacturer. This is a GeForce 2 GTS with 32 megabytes of video RAM. It's got these nifty RAM heat sinks. This is a really good quality card. Really good for late 90s, early 2000s games. I believe this launched in 2000. And yeah, this was actually the original Windows 98 machine's graphics card before I upgraded it to a GeForce 4 MX440 and then to a TI 4200. So that will be our graphics card. As for power supply, we have this because just the anemic 185 watt power supply that's in there is not going to do us any good. This one is 250 watt total. But what's really important on a socket A system like this that doesn't have a 12 volt power connector, which I'm pretty sure most of them don't. I think by the time board manufacturers really started using this, socket A was kind of getting phased out. But you want to check your 5 volt rail. So you see 5 volts and 3.3 volts. Total power output 165 watts. I would have liked that to be more, but that's better than 120 watts on the 5 volt rail for the built-in power supply. That's why we're using this. I already tested this. This does work seemingly fine. 165 watts should be good enough for a 930 megahertz Duron, which is essentially like kind of the Celeron of back then for AMD. Kind of. It's not as good as an Athlon. Actually, maybe Sempron is equal to Celeron. I don't really remember AMD's old naming tiers. But yeah. As for our hard drive, we're going to be using this 30 gigabyte 7200 RPM Maxtor hard drive. This hard drive actually came with the motherboard as well, so we're kind of keeping a lot of the same parts together. And yeah, this is a very noisy hard drive, but this is about the only thing I have really available that I actually want to put in this thing. So yeah, total customer satisfaction. Oh, sorry, I can't keep a straight face. Floppy drive, we're using the one that came in the PC. I took all the drives out at some point because I don't know why exactly. Then our two optical drives are the original Actually, both of these came in the PC when I found it. This is the original one from the factory. It's actually a 4-speed CD writer and a 24-speed CD reader. Then this one is some LG drive that I have no idea what the speed is, but it was just stuck in there, so we're going to stick it back in there as well. Oh, and this fan we're going to stick in the back. This is some, like, I think 60 mil fan that I ripped off an old socket 478 heatsink that's not too loud. It's, like, just barely bearable. And I don't really have anything else. I really need to buy some, like, good fans. But anyways, how about we actually start building this thing? Because we actually got to tear out all the stuff, like the motherboard and stuff that's still in the computer. Now, since I've never changed the thermal paste on this, we're going to do that right now. We're just going to put some of this Cooler Master paste that I got with my Hyper 212 Evo. So we're going to open this up, or not really open it, but take it off, and clean it up, because I imagine the thermal paste is pretty far gone at this point. It'd probably still work, but would I trust it? No. I should have gotten a better screwdriver for this. Hold on. Let me go get one. Alright, I have found a better screwdriver, theoretically. Let's just hope I don't put this... So I just don't jam it through the motherboard by accident. Oh, because AMD heatsinks were very notoriously difficult to install. Oh my god! What the hell? Jesus, how did this thing even work anymore? That looks conductive. Holy hell. What? This is a good example of why you only do a pea-sized amount of thermal paste. You don't end up with this. I know this works, so, I mean, it's obviously apparently not conductive, because there's a bunch of little controller chips or whatever around this. But, oh my god, that's ridiculous. Look at this. I've never seen such a bad thermal paste application in my life. Anyways, I'm gonna go clean that up. That's probably, like, the winner of the video for insaneness that happens. But who knows? We're gonna be installing Windows ME. Things are gonna get even crazier. Okay, I finally cleaned it. This took me like 10 minutes to clean off. And as you can see, it's still kind of stained. Like, this is permanently stained now, because there was so much. Also, clarification, I was wrong. It's actually a Sempron, not a Duron. So, sorry. So it's a 903 megahertz Sempron. I want to say Celeron so much. It's like, yeah, so we're going to keep using the stock heatsink. Good lord, I just cannot get over that. So we're going to be putting the correct amount of thermal paste on. Let me move so you can look at this. Let me make sure that... Yeah, okay. Most of the stuff is off. Ugh. It's like, look at my hands. Like, I still have a bunch of thermal paste on my hands, but, like, I washed my hands, and, like, wow, this thermal paste cap does not want to come off. Come on. You kidding me? Like, what? Like, come on. I just used this yesterday. Oh. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. No. What? Come on. Oh, okay. There we go. I have no idea where the cap went. I found the cap. Alright. So we're going to put the proper amount on. That's all you need. That's all you need. Even then, that was a little bit much for this, because there's no IHS on the CPU, so I mean, it's a little bit extreme already. So we're gonna clamp this back on. The nice thing I like about this heatsink is it actually has the holes for all three clips on the socket. A lot of heatsinks back then didn't. What that meant is that is this right? Yeah. What that meant is if you weren't careful, it was possible for you to actually like snap off the clip on your socket, and then you were totally screwed, because then you couldn't mount your heatsink. So dang, there's a lot of fire trucks. I mean, what's going on out there, man? Oh wait, it's California. Duh. And oh, it's clipped on there. So I'm actually going to plug the CPU fan down here under this slot. The reason for that is that the closer for the external fan, and this cord isn't very long, so I'm gonna put the this fan in the one that's supposed to be for the CPU, and then I'll just kind of like cable manage this out of the way so I can actually plug stuff in like the AGP slot. I guess we should also put in our RAM, our Super Talent. Does Super Talent still exist? Probably not, because it sounds really sketchy, but it works. Actually has heat spreaders on them, so I mean that's kind of something you definitely didn't see back then much. It's common nowadays because, like, let's run our RAM at 3 gigahertz. She can run it faster, can you? You can run it like, doesn't some RAM run at like almost 4 gigahertz nowadays? Or, well, they don't really measure it in gigahertz. They still measure it in megahertz for some reason. Okay. There we go. There are 2 sticks. No dual channel. Yeah, this didn't support dual channel for a while yet. And that's it for the board itself. So we should probably... Why can't I zoom? There we go. So now we gotta rip apart the stuff that's already in the case. Okay, so let's open this thing up. Before I do that, let's take a look at this little cool thing. There's a thing here. It's a CD spindle. This is just like the cardboard thing, but yeah, you can put a stack of CDs there. How thoughtful of them. But yeah, let's actually open up the case. It's pretty easy to open. It has standard thumb screws, and then it just pops off. And you can see it's definitely different. The power supply mounts in front. It looks like it's not standard ATX, but I'm like 99% sure it is. It's just that this is shorter than normal. So, I hope we have enough room for this. Oh yeah, we should. Actually, not like this, but... Oh yeah, we're gonna have just enough room before it hits the drive cage. Now, if you've never taken one of these kind of machines apart, you have to take 2 of these screws off. There's one at the bottom, and then one up near the top. And then you, essentially, you fold it out, and then you can take it out, essentially. Or you're supposed to be able to take it out. I think I bent one of the tabs or something, so it doesn't really want to fit in there anymore. Well, come on, I really need you to actually, like, come out. This thing actually does not want to come out anymore. I swear I know it used to. Well, apparently, we're just gonna have to work with it not working, coming out. I don't know why, but okay. We gotta remove this shroud because it is in the way. This was for the original CPU cooler. I don't know where the fan for this thing went. It's probably lost to history somewhere. I know it did come with it, but like, I can't find anything in my garage anymore. So yeah, that wasn't important. Let's take our power supply off. I wonder if that, since that's off, I can take it off. Oh, there it goes. Apparently you just gotta be violent with it and threaten its life. Okay, wow, the screws are loose on this thing. If you can't see well, deal with it. Because I can't afford a cameraman. Okay, so that's our bracket. This is our power supply. you can see, it does look just like normal ATX. It's just a short little power. Okay, so I mean, I guess we can mount. Let's mount our fan first. So we're gonna mount it like this. Wait. Okay, no. It's gonna be like this. So I want it to blow air out of the case. So I gotta mount it like this. How am I going to mount it? That is a good question Noah asked. He's too big. Alright, we're gonna try to use the screws from the shroud thing, which is actually working somehow. It's requiring a lot of torque to get them on there, but hey, I actually did it. Think we can mount the fan crooked? I think we can. Yeah, because we're professional here. I mean, I'm more professional than whoever put that whole tube of thermal paste on. And that was like a tube and a half. I mean, it's like... Actually, not half bad. I mean, it looks... It's weird that it's not lined up. I mean, people would kind of be like, hey, that's kind of weird. But not bad. It's the epitome of good enough, which is what I strive for. Now we gotta mount this sucker in there. And as you can see, yep, standard ATX. Just like I thought. Okay, so now I gotta screw this in. Okay, nope, that's not a good. Okay, we are now the goods. Oh, okay, that's no. This thing keeps trying to fall off my table. Don't you guys love this table? This faux wood grain card table? Yeah, I think my parents have had this since like the 70s. It has a bunch of packing tape all over the holes in the cardboard. Not cardboard, it's like vinyl stuff, I guess. Anyways, it's a very wibbly wobbly table. So yeah, we gotta... Might have to cut that, actually. Hold up, let me go cut that. Okay, I cut the zip tie off. So now we have 2 Molex, a floppy power, another floppy power, which is kind of interesting, and 2 more Molex. Then you got your 20 pin and your 4 pin, which we won't use. So that's done with the back bracket. That went better than I expected. Now we just got to tackle getting that board out of there. I touched it and it fell out. I didn't pull on this, it just fell out. Okay. There actually is front panel USB on this thing, because that's what that connector was. I think, so we have better room to get in there, we're going to remove the drive cage. Now how you do this is you actually have to go in from the front panel. If I remember how to do this exactly. It's kind of weird, you gotta like... Don't remember how you get this off exactly. Oh. You have to lift that up in order for it to come off cleanly. Okay. Well, that was dumb. Let me attach the door back on here now. It's getting really hot out here. Why do I live here? Okay. Alright. Now, you have to undo the screw. And basically once you do that, you press this button on the inside. Then this like pulls out somehow. Yep. There we go. And this is our drive cage. Has 1 spot for a hard drive, 3 optical drives, or I guess 5.25-inch floppies, and your 3.5-inch floppy bay. So that's neat. And down here, front panel USB. There's actually front panel serial. I ripped the port out because I needed it for, I think, the DOS machine. But yeah, front panel serial. Like, really? So, yeah, it does have one of those annoying molded together plugs, but I'm sure if you spent the time and effort, you could probably like cut this apart into separate connectors, maybe with like a Dremel or maybe even like an X-Acto knife or something. I'm not really sure, but we pretty much just need power, which I believe is the red and black. It is the red and black, so I mean, we'll figure that out. But now we just got to take this out, and like I said, it's basically just standard ATX. This is basically MATX, but I'm gonna be honest, I've never liked HP computers. It just seems like they always break. In fact, I don't think I own a single HP computer that's ever worked. Or that still works, technically. I guess my laptop, which is technically branded as Compaq, but it was built by HP. That's the only thing I can think of that is still working that's technically built by HP. I don't know, their stuff just always seems to break for me. Is that just like a problem only I've had? Or is that like a universal thing? I've always been more of a Dell guy when it comes to OEM PCs. Even though they're really proprietary, you can do cool stuff with them. Here's a motherboard. Wow, this is light. Oh god. That feels really cheap. What chip says on here? Oh. Well, I mean, that explains it. You probably can't read that, but it's the Intel 810 chipset. Probably one of the most notoriously bad chipsets in existence. This board doesn't work. It gets relegated to the floor because I don't care about its existence anymore. Now I just gotta do something about this rear panel I/O. I think I can just pop it out. Maybe. Maybe with the help of a screwdriver. Maybe get up in there. Bust it out. Maybe I have to go from inside. I have to go from inside. I see how this is. That was actually simpler than I thought. Okay. I actually have the I/O shield for this board somewhere. Hold up, let me find it. I actually did find the I/O shield. It's got a bunch of these little tabby things that aren't ripped off yet, so let me fix that. Or at least bend them out of the way. So let's see. I realize this video is going to be extremely long, but I mean, it's been pretty entertaining so far, right guys? So let's see if this mounts properly. Oh, it looks like it will. Neat. My vision of this being a sleeper PC. If you're wondering why I'm putting sleeper in quotations, it's because the CPU isn't really much more powerful than the Pentium 3 that was in here, as it was an 800 megahertz Pentium 3, so it's probably about the same performance. Just we're putting a better graphics card in it, I guess. But yeah, that's about it. And a new motherboard, I guess, technically. Alright, actually, surprisingly, not dusty. So now we just gotta sit this guy in here. I wonder if they built this with the intention of being able to put full ATX boards. Because, I mean, there's, like, even enough slots at the bottom. Maybe in, like, an upgraded model, there was, like, you could, like, a upgraded model, there was, like, you'd be able to, like, put a, maybe they had, like, a full ATX board or something in there. It's not lining up the holes very well. I think it is because I think it's because of those tabs on the faceplate. So let me go get like some needle nose pliers to like rip those off. I've decided to just screw the I/O shield IO shields aren't really necessary. They're just there to like make it look nice. But like, yeah. Let me change camera angle. There we go. So now, you should be able to just drop this in and have it line up nicely. Yep, it sure does. Let me make sure there's like no standoffs that would like short it out or something. Nope. This is essentially standard ATX. So I mean, I don't see any points that would short it. Now we just gotta screw in the motherboard. Yeah, that's basically it. We already got that plugged in. Let me see if USB, is that a USB? It says USB next to it. That's actually kind of surprising. Okay, I think those are like audio. So yeah, I think like this connector up here might actually be USB. Oh no, that wouldn't fit. Okay, so there is USB headers, but they don't look to be compatible with this board. So we're just gonna leave that alone. As for this, I'm just gonna like find the power button and just connect these two pins. Okay, so I believe we got everything in there that we need to. Now, we just need to put all our drives in the drive cage. Okay, all of our drives are now on our drive cage, and this thing is very heavy now. So let me go find some IDE and floppy cables to go put inside the computer. Okay, I have now installed some of the cables. I got a 80 conductor IDE cable and a 40 conductor. I'll use the 40 conductor for the CD drives, 80 for the hard drives, so hopefully we'll get maybe a little bit faster speed. Then I also found a floppy cable that should just slide in. Oh my god. Talk about a close fit. Are you seeing this clearance? Are you seeing this non-existent clearance? Wow. Okay. That's a thing. I might end up, if like I can't find the audio or network drivers for this computer. I know I already should have the chipset drivers for this board. But if I can't find Ethernet or audio, I have a bunch of like 10100 Ethernet cards lying around. And I have 2 Sound Blaster Lives that I found at a thrift store recently. So, should be good if things were to go wrong. Monstrosity. I have to put this in. This is getting more difficult to build in than I was thinking it was. I should have expected that though, to be honest. Really should have expected it. Okay. That was quite the adventure to get that all sorted. Alright, so now I gotta figure out how to plug in all this crap. That should be it. Oh crap. We gotta put that in. Oh no. How am I ever gonna get that in there? Like, good lord, there is no space. This is going to be the most challenging graphics card installation probably in my life. Let's hope I don't break my precious card, because I really love this card. It's a really good card. Performs very well. The slot is already empty. The drive cage might actually be too long, or the card is actually too long to fit in here properly. No, I think it'll like barely fit if I can manage to move these cables up and out of the way, I might have just enough room to be able to do this. No. There is... This card is too long. So what are we gonna do? Well, I have a Voodoo 4 4500. I didn't really want to put that in this computer, especially because there's not proper ME drivers. I've already talked about what happens when you don't put proper ME drivers in. I have a couple ATI Rage 128s, but those are powerful as like 2 sticks of butter. I have a GeForce 4 MX 440 I guess I could put in here. I know that's shorter. I guess we're going to try that. Let me go get that. Okay, so I found this. This is my modified cooler, GeForce 4 MX 440. This has 64 megs of VRAM. I have to plug it in using this for the fan because the cooler was dead. Oh yeah, that fit in nice and good. Oh yeah, that fit in really nicely. I just don't know how I'm gonna screw it in. Not enough clearance here, really. I might have to like tighten the screw by hand. I found it. I have a 90-degree angle screwdriver. I never thought this would come in handy, but it's about to today. I got it in. Somehow, I got it in. I actually had the idea to build my main computer in this, but that would have been absolute suicide now that I'm thinking about it. There is no way I would have been able to fit my main motherboard in here, even though it's regular ATX, but fitting the power supply, there was no way I'd be able to have any optical drives. I'd probably have to take the bay out, and then I'd have to like ghetto mount my stuff somewhere. So yeah, it is finished. Now we gotta hook it all up, test it out, see if it works, and then maybe install Windows ME. Okay, I got my setup all set up again. We have the computer down here. I shall now apply power. Okay, I'm going to press the power button. Oh my god. Okay. Come on. Come on. CD drive opens. It's not doing anything. Okay. Somehow, after swapping out RAM, swapping out graphics cards, and doing all manner of things, turning it back to the original configuration, it magically works now. Don't ask. Maybe it's because CMOS battery is dead or something. Maybe that's why it wasn't turning on. I don't know. Excuse me, it's a 950 megahertz Sempron. We have half a gig of RAM. Let's press delete to enter setup. And here we are. So I guess I'll set the date and we'll see if it saves it. And yes, I am filming this sooner than I was expecting, but I won't be able to upload it till later. First boot device. Let's change this to CD-ROM. Let's change this to HDD1. Enable. Enable. Why would that be disabled? Let's just play first. AGP. Status. Or 32C, it's not too bad. Apparently you can overclock. Potentially. Oh, hey. CD-ROM. Now this is the OEM setup, so that's why it can self-boot. Okay. Cannot go because it is not formatted correctly. So F disk. Oh yeah. 4. Alright. Because 3, 4, 1. Yes. Escape. 1, 1. And that's going to take forever, so I will come back after it is set up and formatted. So I partitioned the drive now. It is now set up with FAT32 partition. Well, it hasn't been formatted yet, so I'm just going right into the setup. I'll just let the setup do it, because I'm lazy. Enter. Format. There's not going to be any quick formatting. I would assume not. Yep, there's no quick formatting. Alright, well, see you back when this is done. Okay, it's done formatting now. Oh no, scan disk. That's fine. I mean, there's nothing on the drive, so... Hey. This first part, I was... Okay, floppy drive. This first part, I was always just like... Hey, look, it just... Like, they didn't even bother to change it from, like, 98. Like, it looks exactly the same. Except that it says Millennium Edition. It's like, it's so lazy. Gotta go custom. Gotta get all the stuff. Well, not all the stuff, because some of it's pretty lame. Oh. Don't need no web TV. Oh man, remember web TV? That was great. Not. Create a start disk. No, I don't want to start disk. Hey, there we go. 24 minutes. Oh, come on, man. I've been doing this for like 2 hours. Hey, look, it's done. At least with the first phase. Now we're gonna have to go through the second phase. Syntax. I've never heard of this brand before, but hey, look, it works now, so that's cool. Not gonna lie, Windows ME looks pretty cool. Like, I know it's essentially just Windows 2000, but with, like, different colors in terms of its styling, but it still looks good. Like, if I could use ME, like the ME, like, theme and styling on my, like, main PC, I totally would. Because it looks pretty good. Let's call this user, because, again, it's mostly going to be used at a LAN party. Now for the product key, I'm going to actually use the one on the side of the case and see if it works. The product key on the side of the case actually worked, so that's cool. So I'm using a legitimate license. I don't think I've ever used a legitimate license for Windows that's older than XP. So that's kind of a refreshing experience, I suppose. Okay. 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 Username. User. No password. almost here. I can feel it. Yeah! Alright. Sweet. Windows Media Player. Where's my movie maker? Hold up. Accessories. Oh, yeah. Oh. What? Wait a minute, where's the movie maker? That's what I want. Oh, there's pinball. Oh, there's Windows Movie Maker. Nice. Let's check what we got going on here in Device Manager. So it apparently found a lot of the VIA drivers. That's interesting. PCI multimedia audio device. Did it actually find the Ethernet? Huh, it found Ethernet. That's interesting. So I only need video and audio drivers then? Let's find out for sure. I have on here a program called Everest Home Edition, which will tell us... Oh. Well, which will tell us what hardware we got in our system. Oh my god. As soon as I plugged in the USB. Maybe ME was a mistake. Well, I have some bad news. So during the 98 installation, it got to the point where it was detecting non-plug-and-play hardware, and it froze up at 21%. I couldn't even Control-Delete. So I hard-powered off the computer, because it was the only way I could restart it. Turn it back on, and I've tried for several minutes to get it to post back to BIOS. This time, it does not appear to be cooperating. So, it might not be totally dead, but I have a feeling it's probably really unstable. Maybe that's why ME crashed as soon as I plugged in a USB drive. Maybe it wasn't ME. Maybe this board or something is really unstable for some reason. I'm not really sure. But yeah, I'd say that ends the tale of the Windows ME / very briefly 98 sleeper. It just appears that I'll just never get it to work. So, maybe one day I'll find another motherboard that I could put in here to hopefully make a true ME sleeper. If I ever do, I suppose I'll make version 2 video of this. But as for now, we're stuck with a computer that turns on but does not function. So anyways, I know this video has been really long, but anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully in the future we can get something else to work this. And have a nice day. Bye.